It's Monday, 3rd of November 2025, and this evening's show we dissect Saturday's FA Cup first round victory against Scunthorpe at Bloomfield Road, a result which gives Ian Evatt 2 wins out of 2 and a 100% win record. We'll also look ahead to Cardiff next Saturday with the first signs of the injured cavalry making its way back over the hill, as Evo said, back from treatment table and back on the grass. I'm John Aspinall and this is Seaside's podcast match reaction show. Blackpool 1, Scunthorpe United 0. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Seaside's podcast, back to our usual slot Monday at 8 p.m. On the panel this evening, Nick, Mitch and Tim. Mitch, good to have you back after a few absentee sessions, working you too hard at Blackpool and Fowl College, and I hope they appreciate your hard and diligent work.
Wrong
there.
college job.
It's the sixth form, isn't it?
It is.
That's like your version of PNE for colleges, isn't
it? Very much so. Yeah, it's squad rotation, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. Tim, evening. Firstly, good to see you loading it up with myself in M Block. Fantastic views in there, aren't they? Of Evo.
Really good. You just have to put up with all the moaning bastards in there, don't you?
Nick, I bumped into you at half time. What were you saying about that?
Oh. Well, I was in L and I only lasted till half time. And I had to move to the north. I'll talk about it when we get going.
Was it that bad?
It's the most annoyed I've been at a football match for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yes.
As Tim says, keep your powder dry there. But yeah, we can mirror opposite to our experience, Tim. It's great seeing
I've got to say, I used to sit in M Block and go in Rollies for a meal beforehand. It was like a soft hospitality about 2013. And you forget how good the view is and all the banter, you get a bit of banter going, don't you? With we were sat right by the away lads, and they were all right, to be fair, and we were just having a bit of banter. And one of them was getting some stick from the block next to us, and he just looked at me and was like rolling his eyes. It's quite funny.
I used to sit in there. Actually, my Premier League season ticket was in there in M Block. A great view of Holloway. And we got turfed out after Carl realised it was a money-making scheme to charge more in M Block. I think the price is like nearly doubled. So, yeah, he missed a trick though in the Premier League, didn't he?
Yeah, I wasn't in there. It was afterwards, but he linked it to a hospitality thing. And to be fair, the hospitality was quite good value because he had that. You remember we had the discounted season ticket season? It was that season. When he do 153. No, what was the thing? Was it 1953? Wasn't it the price of your season ticket, £193.50? So I went up that year, and it was about about 650 quid for the season. Bear in mind, you're getting a meal. It wasn't. It worked out about 25, 30 quid a game. I think it was 30 quid a game, which I didn't think was too bad for those seats with a meal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I must say I did enjoy the view because as you get rather more aged, then your eyesight starts to dip a bit, and I just struggle a bit sometimes when the balls are out the other end, and so you sat in the middle there, and it's fantastic.
So we're going there for Carlisle as well.
I think we should be getting season tickets on podcast patrons. What do you think?
A guy sat next to me. Literally sat down. He said, "Oh, are you the Seasiders podcast guy?" I went, "I am the very same." Also called John as well. So I had a good chat with him. Hi, John. And I was walking the dogs just past yours, Nick, the other day, and I was just listening some music on my AirPods. I thought some other dog walker was like speaking to me about my dog. So he said something to me across the way. I was pulled my AirPod. I said, "What was that?" He said, "Are you doing a pod tomorrow?" I was like, I was on Monday. I said, "Yeah, Monday, 8 p.m. Give you a shout." So, yeah, hi, Mike. Good to be recognised and positive comments about the show. Anyway,
I stopped in the co-op over Wire the other day to buy some potatoes on the way home, And I went up to the till, and the guy didn't say how much the potatoes were. He just went, "Well, have you not done any podcasts for a while?" I'm like, okay.
I've been paying the local community to badger you back on, Mitch. So
Well, no, I don't think it meant me personally. I think it meant us collectively.
all right.
I think it was a little while ago, and we'd had a.
Oh, you've been on the treatment table. We've been slogging it. You know, we've had to
banging
fill
out,
in, and play 90 minutes.
Yeah.
No subs.
It's like Blackpool,
Nick's
isn't it?
obviously not been on if you've been doing
The
90
analogies
minutes.
are there, John. The analogies are there. Him and Gricey and they were,
Yeah, who could Mitch be then? I'll be Morgan. You happy with that?
I'll take Albie.
Grace is Jimmy husband. Oh, also this guy who was sat to the left of John, who was sat with, he said, "Christ, that Andy's like a miserable bastard at times," and he, I was like pissing myself. I was like, "I don't know what you mean." I said, "Well, he is called the Grice Reaper for a reason." Anyway, as we said, FA Cup round 2 draw made earlier. Carlisle at home, great draw in my opinion. What you say, boys?
I think, it's a home draw first and foremost, which I think is all you can ask for, and it's potentially winnable as well. Similar position to Scunthorpe. I think the third in the league, going pretty well. I would imagine they'll bring as many fans as we'll be prepared to give them tickets for. I bet they'd bring 4,000 if they could, because it's a pretty localish one for them. So yeah, we'll need to be up for it. Another potential banana skin. But yeah, it's a home tie, so that was the main thing for me. And it might actually, looking at the draw, there's not that many sort of games that you think might be on TV. There's maybe a chance it might be, might be on TV as well. So yeah, just got to make sure we get through.
Saturday. We want it on Sunday. I've arranged to go and watch Villa Arsenal on Saturday. Convinced we were going to get knocked out in the first round, as we always do. So I want the game on Sunday now. So
ye of little faith. Jesus.
Well, it was a bit more. It was a chance to go and watch a Premier League game. I looked at it. I thought it's second round of the cup. I wasn't expecting a home tie against Carlisle, to be fair. Should be a good game. I mean, like Nick says, they should bring a few down. Might encourage a few of our lot to turn up. But either way, you should put a couple of quid in the coffers. And if you are then in the first and second round, you just want home ties. And we've had 2 home ties against non-league opposition. So, if we don't win them, it's our own fault, really, isn't it? It'd be good to get in the third round for once.
Indeed.
Mitch, Carlisle, a dream holiday destination of yours, no doubt.
Well, I'm enjoying this cup run because we're getting sort of proper northern football teams that have fallen on hard times, aren't we? It's a great draw. It's just about the best draw you could get. We should win it, but they should be, they should be half decent enough to give us a bit of a game. And as you both said already, they'll bring loads, so we should get some atmosphere. Spot on, brilliant.
Mark Hughes as well.
Yeah, what a shame Steve Bruce has gone.
Yeah,
that would have been a lovely romantic reunion, wouldn't it?
Shared a glass of red.
I wonder what sort of tactics Mark Hughes employs. 4-4-2.
He started to turn them around a bit, didn't he? But they had, I mean, again, it's one of those, where you never quite know with new owners what happens. And these American owners came in, and they seem to be full of good intentions, but whatever they did clearly didn't work. And I think when he took over, they were marooned at the bottom, weren't they? I think he gave them a bit of a fighting chance of it. I'm not sure how they're getting on this year.
The third.
Oh,
I think they're only a point off second and a couple off the top.
Listen, that National League it's a good standard. Some might argue a little bit better than League Two because the team's trying to get out of there. So I'm sure. I think it's somebody said in the comments. They beat Reading 3-2 away in the first round. So you've got to be thinking that they're going to fancy their chances themselves, aren't they? Tickle
2-0 down as well. They were 2-0 down. I think they scored 2 in injury time and then won it in extra time. Yeah. But we should have a lot stronger squad by then. So hopefully we've got enough to get into the third round and get Spurs or Everton away. But no doubt we will get either Portsmouth away, Leicester away, or Nottingham Forest. Something like that. And Reading are out at least. It would definitely be them. Right, how did we get to Carlisle in the second round? We beat Scunthorpe United, who travelled to Bloomfield Road, and this was how we lined up. Let's get that banner off. Again, FOTMob, has it done a better job this week of... I think it has, hasn't it? So it's got us I think we lined up in a 3-5-2, didn't we? Peacock, Farrell, Lyons, Horsfall, Casey at the back, Evans in the middle, Bowler and Hansen tucked in. Don't know, in a kind of an 8 and a 10 role there. Banks right wing back, Ashworth left wing back, Fletcher and blocks him up front. Is that how you interpreted it, Tim? It was kind of hard to work out what was going on.
Yeah, and it was a little bit like Peterborough, where in the first half at Peterborough, because obviously Ashworth again was pushing up quite a bit. So we seem to have lines tucking in. As I think we're seeing that Evans really does want to play with the three centre backs, doesn't he? And then push the other players up, which is good. So you're probably not too far off. And I think as a general observation as well, it was good to see that we, and I think to a certain degree, I don't think he had too much choice, but it's good to see that we put a strong, what I think was a reasonably strong team out to try and win the game. Because I think we spoke on the last pod, didn't we, that he probably needed this game to sort of get the players playing the way that he wanted them to play, because they were struggling a bit with it at Peterborough, and I think they just they need time on the pitch playing his system to try and start to get used to it and start to adapt the way they play. So when I'm going back to when the teams were first announced, I was quite pleased that we hadn't, peppered the teams with too many young players to start the game, which was what I feared a little bit. But yeah, it's so I was quite glad to see us put a strong side out. I mean, that's not really too far away. If assuming with the players who got injured, that's pretty much our strongest side, isn't it? I would argue.
Mitch, you obviously wanted Terry Bondo in there, didn't you? You were banging the bongos for Terry Bondo. Just interested. Just before we start about the team, Mitch, where did you sit? Because you're normally in the south, aren't you? And it was shut, so I'm interested to see where you picked to sit.
I was at the top of D block.
Oh, that's where I sit.
Is it now?
Yeah, it is.
It's where he used to go many years back in the day when the ground first opened, when the new groundster was first opened. And I always like the end, and I always like to be just slightly to one side of the goal.
Okay.
I mean, I do enjoy on the Tin Pot Cup games when you've got no choice but to sit at the side. But I just never feel it's for the likes of me.
It's for the bourgeoisie, not the proletariat.
Absolutely, Tim. It's for those enjoying their soft hospitality, as you put it before. I do like the North, to be fair, and I will probably switch my season ticket next season to the North. The only reason I'm in the South is because my lad didn't really like the rowdiness of the North, so we were in the South, but he didn't come with me anymore, so I've got no reason particularly not to go in the North. But it wasn't.
Oh, come sit with us then.
It wasn't
join
right.
The party.
Well, maybe.
C block.
Anyway, that aside, what did you think of the team? It's kind of as strong as you can get, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's left Brown out, but he's got his reasons for that, because he's where we're going to be a midfielder light next week with suspension, so that made sense. I like the fact that he put in technical players. Banks, Bowler, Hansen are all sort of very, you might term them luxury players. I hate that term, but all three of them in there, and I like that. I was a little bit sort of looked at the lineup and went, we don't seem to have picked a midfield. And if Lee Evans plays as Lee Evans sometimes does, that could be a bit risky. But broadly speaking, I liked it. It looked like he was going to go for it. And as has been said, I wanted him to pick a strong team because, you know, I love the FA Cup and I want the FA Cup to be a thing. I want us to try and, you know, it's ridiculous. We're obviously not going to win it, but I want us to try and win it, you know. I want us to try and win every game in the FA Cup because it's a fantastic competition. And I wanted a good game, and I thought, you know, he'd set up, taking it seriously. And as Tim said, I think it was important that we did that because I think the potential to play a team of kids and lose 3-1 could have been very deflating to the sort of good vibes that have been started with Peterborough. So I was pleased with it.
Nick, anything to add before we go into the game?
Not similar to what Mitch and Tim have said. Obviously, you know, we went strong, which I think we needed to. Was wondering what the formation was going to be with only Lee Evans in there. And maybe the plan was, you know, do that for an hour and then perhaps bring some reinforcements on. I don't think he could necessarily chuck Honeyman in from the start. And as Mitch has said, we've got Evans out against Cardiff, so he's resting Brown for Saturday. So overall, I was, pretty pleased with it. It was just how we were going to line up, and hopefully we wouldn't get too overrun in midfield with there only being the one holding midfielder in there.
Okay, back to the original view. I've got no stats this week. FOTMob don't carry them for the FA Cup, no XG, which is weird. So we'll try and recount the game as best we can. Tim, come to you first. I just sketched down good start for Blackpool, early pressure, lots of corners for both sides. And I think we started the game quite strongly, and there was an immediate change in the style of play, I thought, and the crispness of the pass and the high press compared to what we've seen at home under Steve Bruce.
Yeah, I think probably the first 15 minutes or so, I thought it was going to be quite a comfortable game for us, you know, and we're long enough in the tooth to know it doesn't always, you know, the way a game starts doesn't necessarily pan out for the rest of the game. But, you know, you had to be, you know, you looked at the way we were playing, and I thought we did pretty well. You know, Ash Fletcher, I think in particular, seemed to sort of relish the way that the Evo team sets up, because I think he drops into the space a little bit and is picking the ball up and doing things with it, and which is good to see, isn't it? It was sort of reminding me a little bit of the way he was playing in the second half of the season. And he did a bit of that, to be fair, at Peterborough as well. So hopefully, as that side of our game develops, we'll start to see the best of him again, because he can be an incredibly important player for us, I think. And well, he is at the moment, but you know, when everybody's back, if he's going to be in the team, you know, he needs to be doing, you know, a lot of the good stuff we saw him do in the first half on Saturday, I think.
Mitch, over to you. I think there was an air of inevitability about Blackpool's goal. It was coming, which was a nice situation to be in, because that's not been the case very often at home this season.
Yeah, I think, funnily enough, the bloke that was stood next to me said that about 3 minutes before we scored, you know, and that's like you say, that's really I think the most convincing spell of pressure we've had all season. I think last time I was on, I said something along the lines of, we don't score, you know, we don't score from open play. We don't look like scoring from open play. We sort of score from random breakaways and free kicks if we score at all. And actually that first, whatever it was, I don't know when we scored, in about 20 minutes, we were, if you were being really critical, you'd say it had the fault that we often had under Critchley of having a lot of possession and forward movement, but without really having the penetration to create absolutely nailed on chances. But compared to what we'd seen under Bruce for most of the season, it was liquid football. I mean, you know, relatively speaking, it was great to watch in that respect. And yeah, the goal was inevitable. And actually, I thought it was funny that the goal ended up being a little bit of a sort of lucky, scruffy goal, when we played some actually really quite nice stuff. I mean, there was some quite nice stuff on the end of the goal, or quite nice play at the end of that goal. But we got quite lucky with it because it was kind of looped in, and Fletch missed it, and so did their defender, and it just kind of rolled through to Banks, which was a bit of good fortune.
No, it wasn't, Mitch. Did you not see that the brilliant wall pass, bounce pass that Fletch played off their defender straight back into himself? He meant it. Come on.
He did. Well, ain't nobody better, is there?
2-point haul for lots of people on the predictions league.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a bit of it. It was a bit scruffy, wasn't it? I mean, it was actually nice play from Bowler and Banks, if I remember nicely. Nice little layoff as well. And Fletch kind of scruffed it, stabbed it home at the second attempt. But who cares? It's a goal from open play, and we don't, we've scored very few of them.
Nick, it was a very kind of muted celebration amongst the fan base and the players. It was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. It was almost like, right, yeah, we're expecting that. We've got a goal. It's hard when there's not a big crowd, though, isn't there? And there wasn't, a great deal of atmosphere, really. It was, certainly where we were. I mean, I was getting ready to move by that point. Because the guy behind me there was a woman doing a running commentary from the moment the game started. Pass it, tackle, forward, no, yes, there. Pass it, tackle. I said to Jim, I said, I am not going to last. And then this guy starts. Any time we tried to retain possession and basically not go long to nobody, it was forward. And then it was bloody rubbish, Blackpool. Evatt, bloody rubbish, shouting at Evatt, rubbish. And I'm like, it's his second game. What are you expecting in his second game? And actually, I thought in that, like Mitch said, that spell we had, that first sort of 15, 20 minutes was quite decent, I thought. And it did feel like there was a goal coming. So, yeah, it was just like, there are probably people who preferred it under Bruce when we just hoofed it forward to no one. But, it's like there's a bit more to the game than that. Sometimes there isn't a ball on. I don't want us to have 70% possession and most of it's playing at the back like it was under Critch. But at the same time, if we're hanging on to the ball, they've not got it. They're not going to score. So, yeah, it was really winding me up because it was non-stop. But, yeah, in terms of the goal, I don't know what Fletch was doing with that first one. I think he was trying to pass it back to Bowler.
That's what I thought, to be fair.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. He was doing a 1-2 with the defender's leg.
And this is where you just think, have that instinct. Striker's instinct would be turn and whack it. Yeah. Thankfully, it's come back to him and he's put it away. But overall, I think we deserve to be 1-0 up. And I was thinking at that point, right, carry on like this, and it'll be comfortable. But as we know, it's Blackpool and football doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Tim, the banner has now changed to Scunthorpe response, and we had a very good first half of the first half, but went a bit pear-shaped, didn't it, towards the second half of the first half. Scunthorpe were in the ascendancy.
Yeah, well, they had that, which looked like an incredible chance, didn't they, where they picked it up on the right. I did just watch the replays for the game, so I know it was Starbuck, otherwise I wouldn't have known it was him. But it was Starbuck, and he plays that the diagonal, doesn't he, to the far side, and Lyons is like lost. He was nowhere near his man. I think he ended up holding his hand up, and the guy had a sort of half volley shot across the goal. Which, when you actually in end block, you actually had I thought we had quite a good view, and I think our hearts were in our mouths when he hit that one because a couple of wasn't taking much of a degree change for that to hit the back of the net. I don't think he was very unlucky, and there was a pattern, I think, in the game where I thought they created some good chances and were genuinely unlucky not to get back on an even playing field with us. But that one was the one that really stood out for me in the first half because it was almost straight after the goal from Brown. It was maybe like 2 or 3, 4 minutes after the goal, whatever it was. But it was reasonably quick, and it was very good football. To be fair, I thought that both the pass and the shot were exceptional.
Another big moment in the first half. Banks booked. Who wants to come in on this?
was just weird, wasn't it? Because I can't remember if we played the ball or they played the ball, but he was sailing over his head going out of play, and he just leapt up like he was claiming a cross and caught the ball, and then dropped it again as if he'd sort of gone, "Oh shit, what have I done there?" And the ball rolled out for the throw, and it would have been, and the ref called him over and booked him, which by the letter of the law it is a booking because it's a deliberate handball, which is, I think, is a booking no matter what. But it was just bizarre. It was like he'd just sort of gone, "Oh, that's going out." It's like you would do in training.
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking that, Mitch. There was a bit of a training game feel about it, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Maybe he was just thought, and he was one of those. And as soon as he did it, you could see his face. It's right in front of us.
Yeah.
See his face where he's thinking, "Why have I done that?" But obviously, it's too. I thought the ref might let it go because I think it was obviously it wasn't deliberate. It was almost like absent-mindedly what I would have said, where he's just done something as a reaction. Because there's no purpose served behind it whatsoever.
We gained no advantage. He was quite clearly not trying to, hoodwink anybody with it, was it? And unlike you, I thought, oh, he'll sort of give him a little jokey ticking off, but no, he wasn't that kind of ref, though, was he?
No, it was all about him, wasn't it?
Oh,
I mean, I knew he was. It wasn't like you say, letter of the law. It's a booking, but throughout the afternoon, is he the guy who sent Ennis off earlier in the season? Is it the same ref? But yeah, it was very much. We didn't help ourselves at times, giving silly fouls away, pushing plays and stuff. But at the same time, it was just some of it. Just let it go a little bit, He wasn't really for letting the game flow at all, and yeah, it was a bit frustrating.
So just by the letter of the law, is that technically a booking? Because Stephen Craney was going apeshit about it, the booking, and then he got booked himself. Don't know if anyone noticed that. Yeah, Crane's got booked.
Yeah, he did. But I think most refs probably would. Well, it's bizarre, isn't it? I don't think I've ever seen it before.
Most
really weird
deliberate handballs are with a view to gaining an advantage, aren't they? So
yeah.
I think it is by the letter of the law a booking. And talking about Craney and Dobbs, that they're the iPad twins.
No, they're the new Boswells, aren't they? I noticed that. The new Boswell brothers. Joking aside, though, Tim, Dobbs looked a hell of a lot more involved in the game compared to what he had been.
Well, we've sort of heard on the grapevine, haven't we, that Dobbs is the attacking coach, Craney the defensive coach, Banks the goalkeeping coach, and Evo's overall, isn't he? Midfield and overall. Yeah. And they all seemed well suited to those roles. I mean, Craney was very animated throughout, wasn't he? Dobby was always in Evo's ear. And it was good to see because I think under the previous regime, I think Dobby and was very much sidelined, and I personally, I'm glad to see that he's got a role to play because I think he deserves it.
Yeah, it was definitely good to see a decent team, and just Evo in general. Tim, he was just more animated, involved in everything, and organising the troops.
I think he's also got quite a commanding presence. He's a big bloke anyway.
Yeah.
Looks incredibly fit at the moment. I think we said this at Peterborough, and I think he commands. I don't think he commands respect. I think, doesn't he? That's the long, the short of it. He doesn't look like he's going to take any prisoners whatsoever if anybody isn't work into the system that he wants to, which is what we want. You want a manager who's going to impose himself on the team and make them run through the proverbial brick walls for the club and for him and for the fans, and that's got to be the starting point. The quality can come later. The starting point with us at the bottom of the league is we've got to fight for every single point that we can get to make sure that we put some distance between us and the bottom. Yeah. And I think he's going to create that mentality without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, I think the players want that as well. I mean, I think sometimes it's sometimes you can have too much discipline. You know, I don't believe in you can just chuck plates and scream in players' faces and everything will be fine. But I think the players, to me, have really swallowed what he's been feeding them. And what encouraged me a lot was there were loads of imperfections in that game, and there were loads of weaknesses in that game, and there were lots of problems in that game, but they were really trying to do what he'd asked them to do. And I think I was talking to a mate at work today. I used this analogy. It's like, do you remember when you were at school and you had like a sort of really laid back teacher that either couldn't be bothered to discipline the class or, you know, was tried to be nice to the class? And that was fun for a bit. But after a while, it became a bit shit if you wanted to learn anything or do anything or achieve anything in the class. And then some teacher had come in who was really quite strict and would go like, right, you lot, shut up, you're going to do some work. And if you actually wanted to get anything done at school, you'd be like, oh, you know, even though that guy might have been a bit of a knobhead and he might have pointed his finger and he might have shouted a bit, you actually wanted that teacher, not the nice teacher. And I think that's where we are with this squad, is that they've had such a bad start to the season. It's been a mess. It's been chaotic. And I think they really have responded well to him. I've been really impressed with the body language around him of the squad. You know that clip at the end of Peterborough where they're all pushing him towards the fans and sort of go. And there's like, they've taken to him, you can tell. And that surprised me, actually, because... Well, actually, I think I agree very much with what Bisons has said there. I think that surprised me how that was where I was a bit worried about Evatt being sort of a bit my way or the highway, and was needing to have the right line between, my way or the highway, but actually we're stuck. It's late October, early November. You know, we're stuck with this squad for 2 months at least, and actually with the majority of it till summer. And he seems to have come in and kind of found that balance between stick and encouragement. And I've been very impressed with what he's done so far.
Just Mitch, while you're still on you're nearest the Scunthorpe offside goal, if you can remember that, or there.
Yeah, I think it was offside.
Just before half time, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was offside. I can't remember much more about it other than thinking, oh, they've scored. No, they've not. And they're not really thinking they've been a great injustice.
I think some of their fans were kicking off about it. It looked was it from the second phase? And then the flag went up. Was it late? It was one of them, yeah. I don't remember it.
Their manager wasn't very happy, but he looked like he should have been on the terraces with that jacket he had on, didn't he? Do you remember seeing him? He was like... I was expecting him to have those goggles built into the hood. You know?
Did your Elliot have one of them ones, Tim?
He did.
He did, didn't he?
CP gear.
Well, from where I was, he looked a bit like a Primark Russell Martin. Yeah. He
played for Blackpool. Yeah,
he did. He played with Evo for Blackpool.
Yeah, I was shocked when I found that out. I can't remember him.
One thing I would say about the assistant managers there was they were hard as nails because they were there with t-shirts on,
I know,
shorts, and it was fucking freezing.
And he was sort of, he's got to be of a certain vintage, that one. So he had to be in his late 60s, did he?
I would say so. He didn't have any spare. Well, one of them didn't have any. One of them looked like he was from the Sweeney. The haircut.
Yeah.
Not like he'd been in a small part in the Sweeney. And then the other one was like a streak of Pierce. He had about as much meat on him as Coulson. And he was in his shorts and t-shirt. And I'm thinking, are you from Newcastle, mate? You know, it's like...
I liked their other sub, who he was a centre half, probably you'd like Mitch, the absolute beast. He looked like Carsten Janker from Germany, if you remember him. Yeah. Unfortunately, he didn't get a run out.
That's a shame.
We could put a cheeky bid in for him.
Turn him into a centre forward.
I forgot we're not 4-4-2 anymore, are we? We're not direct, yeah. Scrap that. So we've gone in half-time, 1-0 up. Happy days. Evo didn't mess about. Nick at half-time with the subs. Immediately removed Banks from the game, obviously, because he's on a yellow card and can't risk him picking up another. So,
yeah.
A shame to see Banks removed, but fully understandable with Cardiff coming up on Saturday.
Yeah. As much as getting through was the main priority, I think the second one was sort of protecting the players wherever we could as well. And with him being on a yellow, it was the right thing to do. You know, we'll need everybody for Saturday, won't we? Because Cardiff are going well. But yeah, it was the right thing to do, definitely.
And the second half, just try and cast your mind back to it best as you can. I just remember a lot of yellow cards, them missing a lot and us missing a lot in the.
Yeah, I think either team
half chances for either side.
Yeah, I think a bit more composure in front of goal, certainly for us with our chances. Fletch blocks. We had that free kick with Evans, didn't we? Brown blazed one over, but they had some good chances as well, and particularly the one with it was Casey's back pass, wasn't it? That put
that was brilliant.
Peacock Farrell in trouble, and then just when you're thinking he's recovered it, he ends up spilling it, and Casey got back, to be fair, and put a challenge in, but it was, I mean, you're just thinking, oh my God, if we concede through this, we're going to be all over social media with that goal. Thankfully, we got away with it, and then, you know, Evatt's then, he's made, I think we did a triple sub, didn't we? I was actually watching him, and he was getting really frustrated with some of what we're seeing, because he just looked down the line to the three subs and quite animated, said, right, get back here now. You're all going on. So I think some of the stuff he was seeing was probably frustrating him as well. I mean, God knows what they were like in Block L, where I'd been in the first half, because they were moaning when we were on top. So I'd moved to the north by this point and couldn't really see what was going on at their end. But yeah, it looked like we were lucky to get away with that back pass.
Mitch, you're laughing at the back pass. Let's regale the listeners and viewers of what happened.
It was a thing of sort of grotesque beauty. There was so much went wrong. Casey shanked the ball. Casey went for a back pass and shanked it out really quite hard for a corner. And Peacock Farrell sort of decided he was going to go and try and stop the corner, threw himself at it, patted it back to their player, then jumped up and tried to tackle him like an outfield player. Somebody went round him, so there was nobody in the goal. The ball went across. We managed to scramble it away somehow. Peacock Farrell gets back, dives on it, and I'm not sure whether he spilled it or we kicked it out of his hands. Then it sort of ricocheted round, and I think we half cleared it again, and not properly, and then finally got it away. It was brilliant. I love stuff like that, as long as they don't score.
The magic of the FA Cup, Tim.
It certainly was. It was the comedy of errors, wasn't it? That we all speak about sometimes. And actually, I'd only watched it back a few minutes before the pod coming on, and it's the second time you see it, it's worse than you remember it.
It's just as good, isn't it? It's brilliant. Because sometimes you watch them back. Don't you watch them back sometimes and you go, oh, it wasn't that bad. But this one, like you say, it's actually better.
Didn't we use the phrase Keystone Cops in the last pod? We can use it, roll it out again.
Exactly. It was. And listen, thankfully, as Mitch says, thankfully, we didn't concede a goal from it, but it was bizarre. The other thing I'd pick up on in the second half is, and we saw this a little bit in the first as well. Bloxham seemed to be getting very frustrated with himself. I felt he struggled a bit.
Got booked as well for kicking the ball away from that.
Yeah, and it was just like, some of the times the ball ran away from him, and he was like almost like having a little bit of a tantrum on the spot because he was so frustrated with himself. And in some respects, it's good to see that he's so passionate, but he's at the moment he's just like a little bit a shadow of the player that we saw when he first joined us, and probably he's feeling that as well, you know. And it was so in one respect, I'm good to see that he's so passionate and so animated about it. But the other is, it's worrying that, you know, we are playing a non-league team and he couldn't get past them, could he? I mean,
No,
Bowler
I
put him
noticed that.
through.
Sorry, go on, Tim.
Bowler put him through, didn't he? When that one where he jinxed through, and he was a bit lucky because I think it came off a defender and came straight back into his path. But he jinxed through 2 or 3 and laid him in, and, like, you know, just like side netting, wasn't it? And that was about the best. That was about his best chance he had. Otherwise, he just seemed to be chasing down shadows most of the time. And it's not for the want of effort. You know, the effort was there. But I just, you know, I don't know what the issue is, but he's properly off the boil, isn't he?
But I think the one thing I would say is that he stuck at it in that game, and he was still. I mean, he came off on about 88 minutes, didn't he? And he was still making the runs. He was still trying his absolute hardest on 88 minutes, and he went off frustrated because he didn't score. And I do think that the Bloxham at the beginning of the season, or even 3 weeks ago, his head was going down after 20 minutes. You know, he was giving up. He was visibly giving up on the pitch, and there was none of that. And I think I actually, in a sort of slightly perverse way, took a lot of encouragement, because he did do the basics that you need to do. He worked hard. He made the runs. He did try and go up against his centre half, and I think it's not coming off from him at the moment. But being realistic, unless you're as gifted as, you know, unless you're ridiculously gifted, you have to put in that effort week in, week out to give yourself you have to score the rubbish goals off your arse. You have to bundle them in. You have to score the Ash Fletcher goals that aren't, you know, necessarily the most beautiful aesthetic goals. And I think that's something we haven't seen from Bloxham. We've seen him do the great stuff when he's on form. We've seen him beat 2 players, spin and pop it in the top corner. Fantastic. But you're not going to score those goals every week. And there was much more in that performance yesterday, as frustrating as it was for him. And I agree with you, Tim, as concerning as it was sometimes where he couldn't beat his man, or he seemed to lack a bit of pace or whatever, the underlying effort was there. And that's the first time I've watched Bloxham and gone, yeah, that's 100% for 90 minutes.
He was like that at Peterborough, to be fair.
Yeah, he was, to be fair.
He did work hard there, and I think it's a fair point. You know, his fitness has suffered for whatever reason it is. And but, you know, so he plays like that, and he trains hard, and he'll get that back. And then, listen, at some point there's a player in there, isn't there? Because we've seen the player, and we know what he can do. And you know, when he was those games he played for us last season, I think we all thought we had an exceptional player in our hands, and we've got to. I'm pretty sure everyone will get him back there. But the point was that he was so frustrated, and it's not often you see a player as demonstrably show his own frustration on the pitch as you saw him, and there's good and bad in that for me. Mainly good, that I think that he clearly knows he's going to have to work a lot harder if he wants to be playing football for this team.
I was just going to, sort of echo what Mitch has said. I was quite encouraged by the shift he put in. And I'd noticed in that first half, when something didn't come off and he did that kind of little jump in frustration. And I think when things aren't going your way, you know, for me, when he's on top of his game, he drifts past players without really thinking about it. But he probably is thinking about it at the moment, because each time he gets the ball, it's a bit like a striker when they've not scored, innit? They almost end up trying too hard, and what comes naturally to them can go out the window a little bit, because they're like, I've got to do something every time he gets the ball, and it just wasn't happening for him. I think he's had his injury. He's been in and out the side. When he's come back in, we've played him as a striker at times as well. For me, he isn't a striker. He's better on that kind of wide side of midfield, if you like. So I think it will help when he's more naturally playing there. Obviously, he's getting fit now, which is brilliant. Another 90 minutes. And he probably just needs a goal. There's one in the second half where he's kind of, you know, snatched at it a bit and whacked it. Whereas if he's on top of his game, he's probably running in there and dinking it round the keeper and, and slotting it home. So he probably just needs a goal, and hopefully Evo will have seen the effort he's putting in, and then just working on the, maybe an arm around the shoulder and getting his confidence up.
Tim, good to see George Honeyman back on the pitch on 60 minutes, triple substitution, as we've just briefly touched on, replaced Emil Hansen, Jordan Brown for Bolo, and Coulson for Lions. So 2 of the cavalry that Evo mentioned coming over the hill in his interview pre-match. Coulson and Honeyman, 2 great players to be having coming on. Honeyman particularly, given the lack of resources in midfield on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I thought for the first, it took a little while to get into the game, I think, and that's perhaps understandable, isn't it? I thought he looked like the game was passing him by the first 10, 15 minutes. But then as the game went on, he seemed to get into it more. And I think, when he'd been out for, 6, 7 weeks that he's been out.
You're going to be a bit rusty, aren't you?
You are. And this is an ideal game to sort of softly bring him back in before what's going to be an incredibly tough game on Saturday. I also I thought Coulson looked quite good, just playing that bit further forward than he was doing when we played a 4-4-2, and I think that's probably a bit more his natural position. It was, and it's just good to see some of these players coming back, isn't it? Because I think we're always. Well, I always view something through a slightly negative prism, and I just felt some of these players were going to be out longer than they actually have been. I think it's been quite encouraging to see some of these players come back perhaps a little bit earlier than we thought, because we're used to, aren't we, always out for 6 weeks, and it's actually 9 or 10 weeks before we actually get them back. And here, if anything, a couple of them are coming back slightly earlier than we thought. So I see these as positives, because we've got, a very, very important period for us between now and entering into, because we know we're not going to get any points whatsoever over the Christmas period, because that's Blackpool. So we've got to get some points on the board.
We've got to have a Christmas period. Surely, at one point, it's statistically an anomaly how poorly we do. So surely we're due.
Well, I think we may do this year, because. But let's see. But I was jesting a little bit, but we need points on the board, full stop, don't we? But I think it's particularly important over this sort of next sort of 6-week period in the lead up to Christmas, where I think somebody posted we've got quite a few home games to try and get this, sort of push towards the lower mid table as we go into Christmas, and then hopefully, if we do get the Christmas period that I can't ever remember us ever having. I mean, can anybody actually remember us having a good Christmas? I'm looking back, I'm thinking. I mean, the Premier League year, we didn't play a lot, did we? We won away at
Sunderland,
then because we didn't play the Liverpool game, and then we lost. We got battered at Man City, didn't we, on New Year's Day?
And we played well there. I came out of Sunderland famously saying, "We are never going down now."
I think we all thought that at that point. Anyway, I do. I've go back through my. Well, gosh, what am I up to now? Probably approaching a half centenary of years of watching Blackpool, and the number of times I can remember us having a great Christmas is like count them on one hand.
Mitch, you know what to do. You know your next little project.
Well, Christmas, the history of Boxing Day Blackpool FC fixtures.
Yep.
Could do, yeah.
Get on it tomorrow.
See if we can bang it out in time for Christmas.
Whenever you see these old, when you go back in like the 50s and 60s and stuff, and then when we used to play on Christmas Day and
7-3, 8-4, 9-2.
We used to win, didn't we? Have you noticed? We'd win at home on Christmas Day, and then we'd have the opposite fixture on the Boxing Day, wouldn't you? You'd play them back to back, wouldn't you? And we'd win them both. It's like, when did that ever happen? I just don't.
Well, we're going to be at our strongest over the Christmas period, because I have all these players out, and they're all going to be, fingers crossed, none of them will get injured, but they're all going to be coming back. We're going to be our strongest. the festive
And we're at
period.
home as well, which hopefully will make a difference. But going back to the game when the subs came on, I said to Matt Smith, hopefully we'll start to get a bit of a grip back on the game now, because it was sort of running away from us a little bit. And I thought we did then. I know they had that sort of good chance at the end with the header, didn't they? But I thought we started to get a bit more of a grip of the game. And I liked that Coulson, got forward. He's very, very good, isn't he, when he's bombing forward? Defensively is probably where the question mark is. But perhaps he is a player who will benefit playing in whatever system.
Well, it's his actual
Evo
position,
ends
isn't
up
it, Nick?
settling
He's a left wing back. That's what he is. Okay.
Yeah, so
Get Jimmy as the left-sided centre half, and
quite possibly we might see the best of him. So it was good to have him back. Good to have Honeyman back as well and get some minutes. And they both got another week of training ahead of Saturday. So just gives us more options, doesn't it? Because obviously Evans is out Saturday, so you'd expect it'll be Honeyman and Brown in that. He won't go with a one again, will he? It'll probably be those two against Cardiff.
Mitch, the Bondo was released on 75 minutes. Did he make an impact?
It was more like 88 minutes, I think, John.
Oh, was it?
Right, yeah, because
I've written a 7 instead of an 8 in my notes.
Yeah.
So
No, it was right near the end. In fact, I think it was in injury time. He only got about 2 minutes, but he did squeeze in an excellent bit of Medine-style shithousery in the corner, which was nice to see. And we had a little chant of if Bondo scores, we're on the pitch.
yeah.
And I did very much like the fact that at the end of the game, it was funny at the end of the game when there was kind of polite applause, and I thought he's not going to fist us, is he? And he didn't, which was good, because it was 1-0, a fairly not a wholly convincing 1-0 victory over Scunthorpe, when I think Critch would have been giving it full fisting, and I was glad to see that Evatt didn't. But then North Stand was singing Terry Bondo's name, which I just thought was just beautifully surreal.
You started the chant. Come on, didn't you? You started it. You held your hands up.
I didn't. Listen, I'm not a trendsetter. I'm a lightning rod for what goes on around me, John. I don't start anything.
He seems a bit oblivious to it all, though.
He does, yeah, he does.
He's not like buzzing for it, is he? He's like,
doesn't realise he's a cult hero, does he?
How can he not be a cult hero? He's called Terry Bondo. What a name!
What is it you called him, Nick? With a name like that, an Australian handyman.
Sounds like an Australian handyman. Yes, Terry Bondo. Yeah, I think the main thing, let's say, on Saturday was just getting through, wasn't it? And we did, and that's the main thing. We were in the hat for the second round, and Evo will, he'll watch it back and he'll know there's plenty to work on. And I think when you look at how long he's been there, 2 wins out of 2, and there are green shoots showing this. It looks like there is a plan, and the players are starting to respond to that plan. Still a lot of work to do, but there's always going to be a lot of work to do because of the starting point. And I think realistically, where you can't ask for too much more than we've said. It isn't all of a sudden going to be we're playing like Brazil, pinging it about. We were at a low starting point, weren't we? So I think for the time he's had with us, we're seeing a response from the players, and realistically, that's as much as we can expect at the moment. And hopefully, it will continue to get better with each game.
Anyone see the trouble, air quotes, trouble down Bloomfield Road after the pitch? There was a big mob of Scunthorpe fans looking for it.
I walked past, because unusually I normally park down at my office, but I didn't because it was quiet on Saturday, and I was there reasonably early. So I parked down near the Revo Park. And I've got to say, because I was walking the opposite direction to them, about 5 said things to me like in an aggressive way when I'm just like walking with my mate and not saying boo to a goose. I thought basically pricks, but it was like they were.
There was a lot of them like that though, Tim. There was a lot of them like that. Big pockets of them.
Yeah. and they were heading towards the Armfield. So I thought my natural thought was, good luck when you get there, guys, because you give that attitude there, and you're gonna get it in spades. But it was unusual. I'm not really. I don't normally do that sort of walk against the away fans after a match, and maybe that's a regular thing, but I don't remember it being a regular thing when I have done it. And it was no, listen, we're all used to it, aren't we? Leaving an away ground and leaving the ground anyway and coming up against the opposition. But I mean, let's get it right. We're in our 50s, and you don't, and they weren't young lads necessarily doing this. They were 20s and 30s and whatever, And it's their big day out a little bit, maybe. Maybe they were just getting a bit leery. I don't know, but it wasn't particularly pleasant.
No.
It's funny. I kind of finished up because they who said in the comments? John said in the comments, the team worked really hard, and to be fair, they backed them really well. I mean, we made absolutely no noise for about 55 minutes, and they backed them really well. And right at the end, they were, all singing their hearts out and that. And I came out with, that kind of sentimental view, that kind of slightly patronising sentimental view, going, oh, credit to Scunthorpe. What an excellent. And then just basically, like you, Tim, walked into this wall of lads going, fucking shithole full of fucking smackheads, like, and stuff. I was like, oh, that's the end of that sentimental.
That's why Scunthorpe's a cultural capital of the North.
Quiet.
Well, the name Scunthorpe has, and to quote Napper's, got a cunt in it. So I thought that was quite an apt observation.
Or is I always remember this. Do you remember View from the Tower, the fanzine? In about 1992, there was a thing that said Scunthorpe United, the only team with Owen Oyston's name in it. It was the front cover.
I did see Sergeant Ragazzino on duty outside the Armfield. Looked like he was ready for war. I said all right to him. I was going to the Armfield. He barely batted an eyelid at me. He was just there ready for it. But the police and the police horses did a stand-up job with sorting them all out. They did really well. Yeah,
did they go up there, did they, with the view to...
Yeah, they were trying to get down there, yeah. And the police released the horses and they kettled them very well and did a good job. So big up the police and big up the police horses. Stopped a potential flashpoint. Right, we've got Cardiff coming up. We'll do player ratings. We're nearly at an hour. We've got Cardiff coming up on Saturday. They're in a bit of a mixed bag of form at the moment, out of the FA Cup on Saturday. Looking into their results. Played 5, won 2, lost 3. So good time to be playing them, perhaps. Barry Murphy, Nick in charge. A man you were championing for the job at Bloomfield Road a year or so ago. He's done a good job there.
Yeah. They're going pretty well. Like you say, they've faltered a bit lately. I think they're in third now, aren't they? So we're on the back of 2 wins. Hopefully, confidence will be high, and with 1 or 2 players back. You never know. I still think it's a bit of a tall order, but we will see on Saturday what it brings. Like I say, I think he's not going to go with 1 in midfield, is he? We'll probably see Honeyman come back in. Is Hubby close? Did I read?
They said he's back in contention this week, and
Heckway as well. So
yeah.
Maybe he comes back in. And to be fair, with Heckway, for all the criticism he had earlier in the season, I do think he had started to improve quite a bit for the last few games. So maybe he comes back in, and with Horsefall as well, or Horsefield, as the guy behind me was calling him, bloody rubbish Horsefield, which only added to my anger, because I was like, when did we sign him? But you never know.
I mean, go on. Sorry, go on.
I always try and look on the positive side of things. So in prediction league, I'll probably go for a win, but we'll see. We'll see.
Nick Smith, manager of the month for October in the pool predictions league.
Yes.
Well done, Nick. You beat Eddie.
I did, which is some going. I don't. What's my prize? 100 quid? Did you say?
A pint of Ruddlers down spoons.
Ruddles.
Ruddles, sorry, yeah.
You'll have to do better than that.
Well, unfortunately, the prizes are only available to patrons of the show. Patreon.com/SeasidersPod. Shameless plug. November's prize is a Genoa away shirt for the discerning patriot out there to be sported on holiday or at any local asylum hotel. So yeah.
Well, I won't be at Cardiff, but look where I am on Sunday. Into Milan Lazio.
Nice.
So I don't think I wear it. I don't think if I won it, I'd wear the Genoa shirt there. To be fair, but I could always bring a shirt back for the December manager of the month.
Have they got any tangerine shirts? I'm looking at a few Holland shirts as well. So.
You could always get a Blackpool shirt. That'd be novel, wouldn't it? For a Blackpool podcast.
Could get the third kit. Nobody'd want it.
Ooh, yeah.
Have you noticed they've not worn that since? Thank God. How do we think the Cardiff game is going to go then, Mick?
Well, I had a look at the Cardiff squad beforehand, and it was a bit scary. They've got some quality players. They've still got Ryan Wintle.
I was just about to say, I was just looking that up then.
Yeah, no, Wintle's still there and he's playing. They've got a lot of the squad seems to have been together, or the bulk of them seem to have been together for a little while, even though they've had, obviously come down, had a lot of turnover with management. They've got a lad up front who is a Danish lad who scored 18-14 for them in the championship. He obviously came in right at the end because they had a little run, didn't they, and nearly stayed up, if I remember rightly. And he's got 6 in 10 or something like that for him this season. So he looks a handful. And they've got David Turnbull. Yeah, that's him. Yeah. They've got David Turnbull, who's a player I saw play for Motherwell about 6 years ago. And I really, really rated him. He was quite Sonny Carey-esque, actually, like an informed Sonny Carey-esque, like really galloping, attacking midfielder. And he went to Celtic, which was a bit of a shame because he never really quite broke in, but he played 100 games for Celtic. And he's ended up at Cardiff. If he plays anything like he did when he was 19, he was a quality player. They had a lot of players who I looked at and thought, I'm surprised he's not in the Championship, That said, they've lost to Burton this year. They lost to Bolton. They lost to someone else you'd be surprised. Well, no, they lost to Bradford. So I suppose that's less surprising. But
lost to Peterborough.
Yeah.
Saturday, the FA Cup, yeah.
But then they beat Wrexham in the League Cup the other day. They see, So I don't know if they're a bit of a what's the phrase?
Blow hot and cold.
Quite know what you're going to get. Yeah.
Let's hope we catch them on an off day.
Yeah. And
it's Evo's proper first home league game. He must have been a bit disappointed about the low attendance on Saturday.
It takes the pressure off, don't you think? The first home game.
Yeah, I suppose
it can be quite pressurised, can't it? And at least this way, he's got one under his belt. It's a win, and none of us listen. I don't think anybody's realistically expecting a win. We might want to win on Saturday, but we're not expecting it, are we? So if he loses that one and he's won the 2 beforehand, there's still an element of positivity about it. Where I think if we've gone straight into the Cardiff game, the risk is that we're back on the negative. Well, but it would appear that half of the West on Saturday didn't need us even to be losing the game to go on the negative. So let's not give them any more ammunition than they actually need.
It was only a couple of people, to be fair. The one people sat near me were like, "What are they on about?" It was. And
did anyone call them out, Nick? Did anyone call them out?
there was a couple of sort of shouts, but the people out there, they're in the world of their own, because it's like, for a start, who goes to a football match and it hasn't got the self-awareness that nobody wants to listen to somebody having 90 minutes of commentary just shouting stuff, but they seem completely oblivious. And the thing is, it's always the people who shout loudest as well. If Evatt's probably heard it, and he must be thinking, I mean, he's been around the block, Evatt. I'm sure he's thick-skinned enough to know that doesn't, represent the majority of fans. It absolutely doesn't. But yeah, I think for Saturday it'll be tough, but I'm going to be positive, and I'm going to go for 2-1 to us.
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and I'm going to be really happy if we take a point off Cardiff and build on that. 2 more players back in the lineup, potentially Hetway and Hubby, and more minutes under the belt for Honeyman and Coulson. I'll take that 1-1 draw, Tim.
Well, I'm not there, so because I'm not going to be there, it's going to be a 2-0 win.
And to round the show off, Mitch.
Well, my head is saying it's going to be 2-2, but I've got to weight that with the fact that I'm a Blackpool fan and this is a Blackpool podcast, and Ian Evatt is the Tangerine Messiah and all of that. So I'm going to go for 3-2 to the mighty Pool. But most of all, I want a performance. I'm more interested in seeing attacking football and us showing creativity and us showing endeavour than anything else, because I think that's what we need long term.
3-2, a famous scoreline between Blackpool and Cardiff in the past. Getting motivation from there. I love it. Right, okay, I think we'll leave it there, everybody. As we did say, thanks for everybody who's joined us in the stream this evening, adding to the show. We'll be coming back after the Cardiff game, hopefully with at least a point in the bag, maybe even 3. And if it's 3 points, what a start for Ian. 100% ever. Do like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and thanks for watching, everybody. And up the Pool. Come on. Ian Evatt, you know what I mean? Up the Pool.
Small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Been involved in 2. Can he make 3? Not on this occasion. Well taken by Walsh. Davis is on the far side. Ainscough coming square. That's the ball. That's a good try. What a goal! Oh!